Joe. All right. So last week we had a pretty good discussion about uncertainty in Xbox and you know Redfall, like not moving people's needle and stuff happening, right? So Redfall came out and reviews are bad. Reviews are bad. IGN gave it a four. Um, Actually, hold on. Let me scratch that. I think it was lower. Let me see. I'm gonna Metacritic real quick. But yeah, Redfall launched. It wasn't good, um, and a lot of Xbox fans started asking questions. It's like, is Phil Spencer the right choice? Like you were talking about last week. So like we kind of noticed it for a little bit now, but it seems like most of the Xbox guys started realizing that it may not be the greatest option right now. So yeah, it was a four from IGN. Um, it's right now it's at a 59 meta score with a 2.9 user score. I mean, user score give or take, right? It's never good in any scenario, right? Especially Metacritic, where everything's either 10 or 0. So, but yeah, man, this was supposed to be a huge game for Xbox. It was like their first exclusive after all those acquisitions. And although Hi-Fi Rush was technically the first one, but this was like the first like big like AAA thing that they put out there. It's like, oh, this game's coming out and it's gonna be awesome. And yeah, man, it's reviewed bad. So Xbox fans started asking questions, right? And Phil Spencer stepped up, which right, he doesn't have to do this. You're the CEO of Microsoft's game division. You don't have to come out and show your face. I appreciate that he's out there. This should have been the PR guy. Like, is it Matt Booty? Um,
Yeah.
they, Phil doesn't have to be doing this crap, man. Like, he's like the top dog. He's the top pay. He reports to Satya Nadella. He doesn't have to do this. And and you know it. The interview was very interesting because we have the running joke, right, with low energy, right? He you can tell that he was not happy. He's kind of like low energy, um, and he was saying that, oh yeah, we gave them the freedom to work however they need after the acquisition. We didn't like jump in internally. This game reviewed well, so that's why we went ahead and put it out. And well, maybe you gotta be a little bit stricter with your guys, right, and not just put out these games out there. Maybe run it through a focus group. You know, uh, I don't know, man. It was a very weird interview, but there was one thing he said that I'm sure like a lot of Xbox fans like really went nuts over. And you haven't had the chance to watch the interview, right?
No, I haven't watched yet.
Okay. So during the interview, he says that so so he said that basically what we said last week it was what he said. It's like our fumble with the Xbox One was so bad that we lost that generation, and then the market shifted to a digital library, and people already had their digital library somewhere else and not an Xbox. And when the new consoles came out, they just kept going with the platform that had their libraries already. So here we are in third place. Basically, that's what he said. He also said it's like there's no scenario where Starfield's gonna come out and it's an 11 out of 10, and people are just gonna sell their PS5s and buy Xboxes. That's not gonna happen.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro. So I can see a lot of people just going nuts over that. It's a very interesting interview. Highly recommend that you guys watch it. And you can tell that he's not happy, dude. You can tell that he's not taking it. Now that said, he did mention that, oh, we got the game showcase coming up, and I don't want to hype it too much, but I feel like it's gonna be good for everyone. So now, so now the Xbox fans are
Wait for that
wait for
showcase.
the showcase. Same thing.
Always.
The same thing that happened during the Xbox One. It's like wait for E3, wait for E3, wait for E3, and then now it's wait for the showcase. Oh man, it's the way he worded a lot of the he did a lot of corporate talk and
Sure.
during this interview because he can't come out and say everything, right.
No, no.
um but you can tell that he's frustrated. um and I mean, some Xbox fans are saying, "Oh, just like get rid of him," but then what are you gonna do, right? Who are you gonna get? They're in a tough spot. I watched the video, oh, man. So here's my take, right? At this point, um, not only Starfield needs to be an 11 out of 10 game. I think that whatever their pipeline for the next 2 3 years is needs to freaking be, you know, 8 or above.
Yeah.
You cannot do this 4 and 6 crap anymore. You
No.
cannot Redfall. You cannot Crackdown 3. You cannot keep doing this thing. You have to be. It has to be consistent at least 2 3 years to get people back on board. And that's what should have happened when the Xbox One was still around. And here
Yeah.
we are 10 years later, man, and it's still like they still haven't figured it out. But here, man, it's freaking funny that we were talking about how bad the bull drop was, that they're still reeling from it, and he just straight up said it. It was like it was so bad that we're that
Wow.
this guy's moved on from Xbox and they're not coming back. That's basically what he said. You can tell that he's frustrated, and it is, and he was like, he was very, he was a realist. He was like, it is what it is, right? And we can't, you know Game Pass is doing great, but it's like, but at the same time, it's like, how much longer can you sustain Game Pass? You know, putting this games day one and not really making money out of that. I would readjust Game Pass. I would do like new stuff. Is it's for sale at like what PlayStation does, and then put it on Game Pass 6 months later. It's like, I mean,
Right.
some people
Right.
are gonna wait the 6 months, but you know that some hardcore fans are gonna buy it right away.
Absolutely.
And and depending on how sales are, you can move that date from 6 to 8, from 8 to 10, 8 10 to 12. So you can move that date, that Game Pass date, depending on your sales. But you gotta start making money somewhere else, right? And that's the
Mm.
only way that you have, is to
Mm.
not put these games out on Game Pass day one. You gotta stop it. You gotta stop it. They're bleeding, dude. It's like they're bleeding, and they're not willing to patch up their cut. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, the cut's bleeding. I was like, it's like, I don't have time to bleed. Jesse Ventura on Predator.
Oh my gosh.
So that's basically what they're doing, man. And it's I mean, they're in a tough spot right now. Um, Microsoft went through a reorg, and I work with Microsoft products every day, every
Yeah.
day. For the last 4 months, it's been unbearably bad working with Microsoft. It's been nothing but problems with Office. Windows updates are breaking devices.
So
It's
weird.
been like the last 4 months overall have been just an absolute mess working with Microsoft. Um, I think that there's a concern, right? And I know that the Microsoft Games division is not going anywhere because these guys have been around since like the '90s, and they're fine, right? But I don't see Xbox as a separate platform being around for too much longer. I think this is gonna be, but I mean, maybe there may be one more generation after this, or maybe there's gonna be a revision of the Series X, and that may be it. But I just don't see them prolonging the this division. Um, this is this is gonna be like like again, Game Pass is gonna be a PC product at some point. And you may have like a set top device that you can stream to or whatever X Cloud is, which was supposed to be out already, and I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know. I don't know if it's out, if it's not. I don't really know.
No, yeah.
But Joel, man, tough spot. I don't. I'm wearing my PlayStation hat, but not because I wanted to brag, right? No, no. Honestly speaking, like because we've said it before, I think the Series X is a great platform and it's a great
Mhm.
product. I think Game Pass is a great product. Problem is that Game Pass is unsustainable, and then for that platform, you are not seeing killer apps. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? The
Yeah.
3DO was the most powerful console ever at the time, and it didn't have the software to back it up.
Yeah.
What happened? Super Nintendo ran over the 3DO. Um, yeah, man. I mean, any other thoughts that you have on this, guys? I mean, what can they do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, just from the beginning, like you mentioned, like about the interview that Phil Spencer had. I haven't gotten to watch yet, but I did hear about it, and then you just explained it very well. And like to be fair, since I haven't heard about it, I don't want to comment too much. But from my prior remarks from last week's episode, I didn't need this interview beforehand. I was already saying, like, I know this might be a controversial opinion, but I thought that moment that Phil Spencer may not be the guy to lead Xbox. I think you need to change, and I'm pretty sure I said this last week. I think you need to change leadership before you start putting the death penalty on the Xbox game division.
Oh,
I
totally,
still
totally.
think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a chance. I'm like, it would be such a shame if Microsoft said, "Hey, we're killing this thing off," and they never gave another person a chance to right the ship. There needs to be someone else. I don't know who that is. You probably have to get an outside person, not an inside person, to come in and do it. But they need to try something radical because them going out and doing interviews like this, it sounds almost it sounds a little desperate. Like the way
Yeah.
again, I didn't watch it,
Damage
but it
control.
just sounds yes, it sounds
It's
like the
damage
answer
control.
very desperate. Which I don't have a problem with trying to be transparent and being in front of the community. I like that. Like I remember when the Xbox One came out. I remember Major Nelson, like he was on like Boogie, like he literally traveled to Boogie's house
Yeah, for the
and
one.
brought the Xbox with him, like and was
Yeah,
like, let's play this
for the
together
Xbox
and get
One.
first impressions.
Yep.
And I'm like that kind of stuff. Like, actually, I like that. Which where is Major Nelson these days? Like, he was pretty good in front of
He's
people.
still around.
Around, yeah,
Yeah.
he was pretty good in front of the people. But they need somebody to run. They need somebody to run this company with with a little bit more of a radical change. Because they gotta try to switch stuff up. It's almost like use a sport. We're using a lot of sports analogies today. But like when you've got your starting fives in and things aren't going as maybe planned. Well, what do? You make some substitutions, right? You switch around. You don't keep the same plays. You start switching plays up because maybe like you're losing, but hey, maybe this is gonna work out better. You don't keep that very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. What they're doing with the Series S and the X is not that far off from what we saw with the Xbox One S and One X. Great bits of hardware, but the strategy and launch of this seems to be almost
Yeah.
identical. And that's insane to me because we really thought this might be the one. This might be the time where they finally start doing things that are desperate. I made predictions earlier in the year, or sorry, the end of last year when we had our predictions episodes, and I was like, look, I think Xbox is going to make some desperate moves. That was exactly how I phrased it this year. That to me, the desperate move would be to switch up the head of the Xbox game division. I'm calling for it. I think that this is the thing that could be coming up. We'll see. We'll see. It's a prediction.
Yeah.
But I don't have any hate against Phil. I think he really has
No,
tried to do some good things.
he
Everyone says
cares.
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like all the stuff you hear about from behind the scenes. I don't know. I've not worked with him, but I hear really nice things about him. But it's a shame, Obed.
And you can tell that he cares, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you could see like in during the interview you could see the frustration in his face, and that's because he cares, right? If he wouldn't care, he would come out like old school, like Jim Ryan come out. It's like, why
Oh.
would I buy this? It's like, well, because look at that old game. Who would want to play that, right? Like like, oh, those old school like Jim Ryan interviews are nuts, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then again, people grow, people change. Even if you're an older gentleman, you can still you know keep growing.
Absolutely.
Um, in the case of in the case of Phil is that I feel like that he became like this like savior figure for Xbox back when he took over from Don Matrick. That I think that his expectation or his expectations were a lot higher from the fans were a lot higher than what he was supposed to do while being in that position,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, then the problem goes that when you see that things started going off the rails with all the acquisitions, like when they started
Hmm.
going crazy and buying everything, you can tell that's a desperation move to me.
Those were.
I mean, because like they know that they would not be able to exist without those other publishers and developers that they acquired, and it to man, and it's unfortunate because I know that there's very talented people that were
Yeah.
in the Xbox studios already, and how about would you feel like if you like if you're working for a company and the company buys another company that does the same thing that you do because you can't do your job, but you still work there doing your thing.
Oh my gosh.
It's it must be demoralizing, and we know that there's like huge shakeups and a lot of people left, and most of the people, Halo people left, and what's going on, right? Like where are the new and exciting things? Where are the new franchises? Where like talk about like during the Xbox One years, right? We had like we had Horizon, we had the Days Gone, Spider Man, which are new franchises, right? Spider Man's a new franchise. I mean, it's a licensed character, but it is a new franchise. So you see this new franchises coming out on PlayStation, and all we got was like Forza, Halo, and Gears, Halo, Forza, and Gears again, and then Crackdown 3. Where's Crackdown 3? Wait for it 3, and then we waited for like 8 years for Crackdown 3, and then came out and got sixes. Um, and it's unfortunate, right? Yeah, they had a good product, they had a good run. I think the 360 days were really good for them, and they really were able to build up that brand during those days. But again, dude, just going back to Xbox One, that that fumble was so dude. They just they didn't they just didn't only fumble. They sacked the quarterback.
Oh
Like the
yeah.
quarterback got sacked, you know, and you know, out of commission. it's it's very unfortunate what happened with the Xbox One, right? Um, and even even before the Don Matrick, the backle with it. Well, if you don't have internet, we have the Xbox 360. Even before
That was
that,
so bad.
that presentation
Oh my
was
gosh.
just one of the worst presentations that I've seen
Fake
ever,
claps and the
dude. Watch The Price is Right, Xbox. Put on The Price is Right, and then
it's
Call of
so
Duty, and then
fake.
the only game they showed Call of Duty and Call of Duty, Call of Duty, and then Call of Duty Dogs and all that. Sports, sports TV, sports. I
Yeah.
think it was sports and TV.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Wow, like who would have thought that moment, right? And then E3 came, and it was a bloodbath when PlayStation came out. $100 cheaper, and here's how you play used games on PS4. Thanks,
The handoff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So good.
it's it's incredible, man. It's really interesting though. I mean, PlayStation, they went ahead and said last week that they had their best quarter in PlayStation history.
I know.
Switch is still killing it. I'm sure. Like I heard again this week um that some people already saw the upgraded Switch, and they're touting it as like a next gen kind of console, but
Yeah.
backwards compatible. So it's yeah, man. They're Yeah. So Phil feels like during the interview, we're never gonna, we're not here to out console Sony or
Oh my
Nintendo.
gosh.
And it's like that's the whole point, right?
Right. You
That's
want to be
the
the best.
that's the whole, yeah, exactly.
You should at least.
Oh, we're not here to be the best. It's like, then why are you here, bro?
Well, that's the question that's going to be asked. And again, I didn't need this interview to call for it.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. It's like it's like imagine LeBron James saying, "I'm not here to outplay Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. It's like I'm just here to be here and just play basketball and be happy." No, man, he's there to win.
Right.
He's there. He's been this looks like dude's almost 40 years old. Dude, 38. I could barely get on my bed. It's like there's there's podcasts that when I was 38 that we recorded.
Just-
My back was garbage. Couldn't freaking move. Dude's out there making 30 points a game against the best players in the world. You're kidding me?
This is a very sports episode. Sports.
sports Sports TV. But that's what we got, sir.
Oh man.
We'll see what happens with Phil.